All right, perfect. So before we start, let's see who here is preparing for his or her CCI exam right now. All right, and who already has a CCI? Awesome. So this session is mainly going to focus on the new CCI exam format, and we are going to go through the LDS demo. We are going to show you how the system looks like today and how you are going to see it in your real life exam. I'm going to connect to the live system, and we are going to go through the whole LDS portion of it and show you different portions of the exam, show you different types of items that can come in your exam, what is common in both of those portions, and most of this is focused on a demo. I don't have any slides. I have one slide that I'm reusing from my previous session, and that's pretty much it. My name is Mubasher, and I have been managing CCI data center program for 7-8 years. Currently, I'm managing the product management for the certification, all of the certification exams. Okay, so that's the only slide I have. As you know, there is two main modules in your CCI exam right now. Number one is design. Design is a fixed module. It's a 3 hours fixed module. You cannot use the time from design to your do module. So if you finish your design, let's say in 2 hours and 30 minutes, you still have to wait for 30 minutes, or you can skip those 30 minutes and start your do module. But then you will not get those 30 minutes in your do module. All right. So you will have to use the 5 hours that are dedicated for the do module uh, only. The design is scenario based. The backward navigation is disabled. So once you click next, that's it. You cannot go back. All right. So make sure you answer all the questions. System is designed to make sure that you have answered the minimum required items in a question, and then you can click next only. Um, Point values are hidden. Obviously, the items can have multiple questions in design. So if it's, I don't know, maybe 10 items in a exam, it can have 30 questions. So one item can have two, another can have three, another can have four, maybe. There can be an item which is only one question. Okay. Once you are done with your design, you click next. It's a progressive storyline. The same scenario that you had in your design moves on to your do module as well. Having said that, it's not the case that whatever you are designing in your design module is what you are actually implementing in your do module. All right. So the questions can differ a little bit. In your do module, it's a 5 hours fixed exam. Again, the clock is running. I'll show you guys in the demo. It's mostly hands-on, so you will have to log into systems to configure something or troubleshoot something or operate something. There can be web-based items in it. The navigation is enabled, so you can attempt question number 1 first, and then you can move on to question number 5, and then you can jump on to 6, and then come back to 2. Whatever the way you want to do it, for those 5 hours, that pod, that rack is yours to work on. Point values are shown. Very important. I would highly recommend pick and choose which items you want to focus on. If it's a 3-pointer, it's a 4-pointer, I would spend some time on it. If it's a 1-pointer and I don't know it, I'm going to skip it. I'm going to move on. I will come back to it in the end. The system has the ability to highlight the items. So when I did my CCI, we used to write it on a sheet. Okay, I have no idea what question 1 is. I have never seen question 2, 5, 6. Okay, I can do that. And then we used to come back. Now system is designed in a way that you can highlight, star the items in there, and you can come back to it. Having said that, I don't want to spend more time on this slide. Let's jump on to the demo. Let's make sure everything is working. It works most of the time. All right. So this is the first screen you're going to see on the day of your exam. You will enter your examination room. Proctor will see your identifications. He's going to hand over, when he's going to assign you a seat, you're going to go to your seat. On your seat, you will see a paper, and that paper will have your login username and ID over there. You will enter your login username and ID, and you're going to click next. Fingers crossed it works. It works, I think. All right. So the first thing you're going to see is your design module. This is the exact system that you're going to give your exam on. I'm right now, I'm connected to one of the systems in Brussels. where I'm doing this demo from. All right. So I've just taken an example of DC, but if you're doing infrastructure, you're doing security, whatever exam you're preparing, this is the exact system that you're going to see in your examination. Now, once you have seen it, I cannot click start. We want to make sure you read the guidelines. All right. So these guidelines are exactly the same you're going to see in your exam. I just copy pasted. I did not want to write new guidelines. Okay. Yes.
Will we get a printout as well of reference throughout the exam?
For what?
Will we get a printout as well of the guidelines to reference throughout the exam?
No. I'll show you another option over there. Okay. So before you move on, you have to read through all the guidelines. It gives you a basic idea of what the exam is, what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, how much time you have, how many items are there. It can be 30 items, it could be 35. It all depends on the particular exam that you have been presented with. Now, once you have read these, you do a click and you do start. So once you start your exam, you're going to see the first screen that's going to tell you welcome to whatever exam you're doing. Like in our case, we have Acme Company. You might have another scenario. As design is based on scenario, you will see certain kind of company names. There will be information provided to you in the exam that references to certain things that you need to answer your items in the exam. Now, before we start and click next item, let me show you a few things that are going to be very helpful for you. So it's a design module. You can see how many items are here. Because it's a sample, I only have 6 items. Remember, as I said earlier, 6 items does not mean 6 questions. 6 items can have 12 questions in them. It can have more. Okay. You can see which item number you are currently on. You click on guidelines. So if you want to see guidelines again, I don't know what was happening. You can always look at them back again. Do not end your session at this point in time because we have not started. All right. Remember that. Timer is always running. So even while I'm talking, I'm going out for coffee break or I'm going out for smoke break or whatever, timer is still running. Okay. It's not going to stop. It's your responsibility to make sure you do your exam within that time. Okay. Now, another thing over here, very interesting, is this thing, resources. For design module, the most critical thing is resources. Okay. The resources will provide you a lot of insights into what the answers to the particular questions can be, and it will keep on updating as you move along in the exam. So you answer item 1, maybe a new resource comes up. You answer item 2, a new resource comes up. You answer item 3, a new resource comes up, and it keeps on going until you reach the last item. The other thing to notice, once a resource is available to you, it's available to you throughout that design module. All right. So there might be an item coming 3 or 4 items down the road, which resource has already been provided to you. Okay. So make sure you understand what kind of resources are being given to you. I'll show you different types of resources as well during this demo so that you are familiar with it. Now, number one thing to see in the resources is your topology. So because I manage data center, I can draw a topology for data center. I did that. Yes. Sorry, I cannot hear you. You have 2 monitors. Okay, so you can put your resources on one, you can have your items open on the other one, and you can answer it. All right. So that's our topology: Chicago, Vegas, New York. We have data center, everything looks very fancy. What else is available over here? Let's have a look. So introduction. So there's some kind of introduction for the company over here. And then maybe some company profiles. So you are highlighted with some people who are talking with each other. There is a CIO, there is somebody here, data center guy, sport guy, CISO. Okay. So these names are important to understand how you're going to answer the items which are coming forward in the exam. Okay. So there might be a case where a security CISO did some survey or did some audit and he found out some issues in our data center or in our network and he wants you to fix it, and you as a candidate is required to answer the questions accordingly, okay, based on those requirements. Now, We have seen our resources. I'll keep this window open here just to show you how it populates. Ooh, what did I do? Okay, we need technical help, Emma. See, it's been doing this morning, since morning. It's not behaving itself. Yes. Sorry? Cisco documentation and design is not available. It's going to be available in the do module. Okay, good. Thank you, Emma. Let's click next. Now, once we click next, I want you guys to notice something on the right side. A new resource has popped up, right? Before answering the item, though, even if I know the item, I would rather go and look at the resource to make sure that I see what has been provided to me. So what has been provided is an email. So there's manager who's talking to you guys and he's asking you guys to do something, and there's a whole storyline going on in these emails. This is very important to go through the emails. Emails is one thing I would highly recommend you guys to go through if it's provided as a resource in your exam, because it has a lot of pointers for you to answer the question. Okay, so you go through, and in the end there is something, the CPU of the switch is spiking when we are adding new VLANs for all the applications, resulting in downtime. So these are all sample items. Do not expect them to come in your exam. Okay, do not come back to me and say, why was this not in my exam? I saw it in the demo. Okay, so this is the conversation happening between the manager and the CCI candidate. Okay, now once that is done, you can come back and you can look at item. Now item has a lot of things in it. If you look at the top, it mentions if a new resource has been provided to you, and you're required to go and look at that resource to make sure you understand what's in that resource. The second line says that this has multiple questions in it, and you may need to scroll down to make sure that you see all the questions. So do not expect that, okay, I can only see 2 questions, I'm just going to do okay, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to click next, and that's it. Do not expect that. Okay, so make sure you go through all the items. So this particular one is showing you 4 kind of items. Number 1 is multiple choice single answer. Number 2 is matrix kind of question. Number 3 is multiple choice single answer. And then it's a tabbed item. See, as I click on different tabs, it changes the pictures down there. So you are required to identify which of these are 2 supported topologies in our scenario. Okay, and then I'm just going to randomly pick because I don't care. I've already passed CCIE. So I just click next item. Okay, so as soon as I click next item, another thing to notice, another new resource has appeared. Let's go back to our resource tab, and another sample email has come up. Okay, so you go through your email, find out what happened, who broke what, and then you go back to your item, and again you can see there is multiple things mentioned here, and these are kind of drag and drops into 2 different places. So we are going to drag and drop and make sure that it works. So this is called split one, and then we're going to do it over here. I'm just going to quickly finish it so that I can show you more item types. This is called something as drag and drop with the pictures. So we're going to drag drop pictures into this. It's going to look more neater in the actual exam. I was very lazy to do it cleanly. Okay, and once we are done with this, I've answered all my items. I'm going to click next item. All right, so at this point in time, we can see we are at item number 4 out of 6 for our exam, and there's a new resource that has been provided to us. Let's go look at the resource. Oh, that's something new. That's a CLI. Okay, so that's a Python script. So somebody has given us a Python script to look at and to identify and answer certain question that's going to come in your exam. Okay, now this is based on data center, but I'm sure other exams, enterprise or security or other places, wherever there is programming involved, you can see a script like that. to be read through and to be understood. Now, I saw the script, looks very fancy. It's all lines here. I go back to my question and I say, okay, VXLAN, okay, whatever. And then I see over here. So refer to the new resource and what is causing the exception for the Python interpreter. And then I have to pick up the line. So if you look at the resource, it is lined over here. So I have to pick up one of the lines. Okay, I think line number 6 is messed up, and that's where the problem is coming from, and that's what's causing the exception. And then I'm going to click on drop down. So this is drop down kind of items. So you can have different kind of drop downs. It could be like a sentence that you need to complete. It could be like a script that you read and you have to identify the line of the script causing the exception, or it could be one of the simple drop down items. Now once I have done, now another thing, let's just to show you, you can provide feedback. I didn't get this item, it's a mess. Okay, and you can submit the feedback and somebody will lead it. I can guarantee you that. Next item. Okay, so that's an item which is called as a hotspot kind of item once it shows up. So that's a hotspot item. So your topology is given and you're asked to identify where the spine is. But before I go and show you where the spine is, I want to go and look at the resource that has just popped up. Now that's an interesting kind of resource. That's a PDF document. That's a data sheet for DCNM that has been provided to you. And you will have PDFs for different things, for different exams in your that design exam. All right. Now, when I click on this one, it's going to open the whole DCNM thing in front of me. And it's going to show me the whole 50, 60 pages of DCNM data sheet that I can go through in my exam in my free time. I do not recommend going through it during your exam. Go through it before your exam. Okay. Focus on the item. If it is relevant to the item, quickly search through it, find what you need to answer the question and move on. Do not read the all 50, 60 pages during your exam. You only have 3 hours. Yes, you can. Okay. So you can search through it and you can find out whatever you need to find out. Okay. So once you're done with this, I'm going to identify my spine and I'm going to click next. Now at this point in time, my exam is finished. Okay. I am done with my module 2. Because I'm so efficient, I still have 2 hours and 48 minutes. Now I might be highlighted by somebody that I might have cheated. Okay. And somebody's going to come after me. But there are security guys here who can come after you and find out how did you do it in 10 minutes. But I'm only doing a demo, so it's not a problem. But you have separate time left over here. I cannot use that time in my do module. Okay. So there's no need to rush through the design. Read the questions properly, look at the resources properly, answer your items, and then move on. Okay. 3 hours is plenty of time to answer all the items that are provided to you. Some of them will be very easy. Some of them might require a little bit more time. If it's a Python script, you might have to go through a little bit more. If it's a simple multiple choice single answer, you just tick it and you move on. Okay. So depending on that, once I'm done with my design module, I'm ready to move on to my do module. Okay. Now you have to end your session to move on to your do module. Once you end your session, you cannot come back to this session again. Okay. So are you sure? We want to make sure you're sure. Okay. So we double do that and then yes, leave it. Okay. Once I click this, it's going to take me to my next session, which is my do module. Now, if you remember from the slide 1, do module is 5 hours. Okay. You have a live pod that you have to work on. You have to configure stuff. You have to troubleshoot stuff. You have to operate it. There can be web-based items in this portion. So even though there was web-based items in your design, there still can be some web-based items in your do portion. So once I'm done with this, I have to read the guidelines to make sure it is fine. Again, I just copied them from the production system. So these are just standard guidelines that is provided to everybody. The important thing in this one is somewhere on line number 4 where we identify which pod you will be working on. So this will be given on to you on your sheet. So that will have information. Okay, you are working on pod 3, you are working on pod 7, you are working on pod 11. This is important because sometimes you will be required to configure some IP addresses or some gateways or something that has YY in it or XY or something like that, and you have to figure it out. So you need to know which particular pod you are working on. All right. So once you have gone through your guidelines, you close this window, you checkbox this, you move on, and you click on the start. And as I said earlier, it's a progressive storyline. That means the topology is exactly the same as I see in the design module. Okay. The only difference between this demo and the live exam is that in the because this is just a demo from the LDS system, I do not have a backend pod associated with it. Okay. If I had a backend pod associated with it, I could have just clicked on this spine and it's going to open up a console for me. Okay. If I click on this thing, it's going to open a console for me. That's the only difference. Rest, everything is same. Before we move on and look at different things, let's look at some of the things on your screen right now that you need to be aware of. So you have 5 hours. Time is already running. Okay. If you want to take a break, maybe a coffee break or something, I would highly recommend doing it from the extra time you get in the design module. So once you are finished with design, go have a coffee or something, and then come back to this one. It's going to give you a good break from your design, and you will come back with a fresh mind to start your do module. All right. The other thing to notice, again, there is some resources available. The difference between design and do is that all the resources are available to you at the start of the exam. So whatever needs to be provided to you to do this exam successfully is provided to you at the start of the exam. So number 1 is obviously topology. Number 2 is your exam scenario. So there is a story that is mentioned, like what's happening, what needs to be configured. Maybe the company acquired a new data center and it needs to be connected, and you are asked to do that. All right. In this exam, you will be given all the information on device access. A lot of time we see candidates coming to proctors to ask for access information while it's already provided to them. So go through it. It's going to save you a lot of time, because if I'm going to be doing my exam here and the proctor is sitting over there, I have to walk over there to ask him what is the access information. So that's going to waste my time. So you want to make sure you know what's already provided. And most of the time, everything you need to do the exam is provided. All right. Anything like VLAN, storage objects, IP addressing that is relevant to your exam will be provided to you in the resources section. You can also highlight. You can highlight this. Okay. Or you can highlight whatever color you like. Very fancy given multiple color options. See? So once you're done with this, you close this, and let's look at the exam tasks. Now, what I like to do is to go through the whole exam first. Okay. So there can be different type of items. There could be items with some diagrams given in it. So even though you have the main topology available to you, there can still be items that have very specific topologies that are relevant to that particular item. Okay. And they are provided to give a little bit more detail which are related to that particular item. So you look at your item, you look at your diagram, you can read through it. Your points are over here. IT. Works every time. See? So your points are given to you. You can look at them. You can see this. I read this question. I was like, I have no idea what this question says. I'm going to highlight that question. I'm going to come back to this item. All right. It shows you all your sections. So this is your item number 3. This is your item number 4. As this is based on data center, so I have all the diagrams that are relevant to data center, but If you're doing any other exam, this is how it will look like. You can say, okay, this is fine. I know how to configure this one. This looks troublesome. I'm going to focus on this later. Uh, there could be another section with some more items in it and another item. Now, once I have gone through all my exam, I can always see which items I have highlighted on the left, and I want to revisit them again. Okay, so I go back to my item, I jump onto my system, I make sure everything is fine, that the way I wanted to configure it, and then I'm gonna remove my stars here, and then I'm gonna come on this item. I'm gonna look everything. You can again, just like in the design, you can provide feedback. This is complicated. Okay, whatever you want to write, and it goes back into the system as a feedback from your side. All right. Now, once this is done, I have answered my items. Uh, everything is done. I'm happy. I'm very hopeful. I'm gonna pass.
Are there dependencies between the tasks?
Yes, very good question. So usually there is, but we try to make sure that they are as independent as they can be. But definitely there will be few items in your exam which will be dependent on each other. Now, just giving you an example, if you are working in data center and you have not built your layer 2 layer 3 or the connectivity between your two data center, and you are expecting the pings to work between the two data center, then it's not going to work. Okay, if your leaves are down, if your spines are down, and you're trying to connect to something that is behind that leaf or spine, then it's not going to work. Okay, so there will be some dependencies, but there is still items in the exam, majority of them I would say, which are not dependent on each other. Okay, and you can still do and attempt your exam without those, without being dependent on each other. Okay, now once I've done all my configurations, do save your configurations all the time. Anything can happen. It's a network, it's a system. It can break down, it can restart itself, it has its own mind. Okay, so once do save your configurations, make sure everything is saved from your end. There is a very big misconception that proctors have a lot of time and they will restart all your pods. They don't have that much time. Okay, they're not going to restart your pods. But having said that, I recommend saving your configurations again and again during your lab exam. Okay, so save all your configurations. Once you have saved your configurations and you're happy with it, I will close this tab and I will be like, okay, I still have time, but I want to go catch my flight. Okay.
Say in the worst case scenario, you saved your lab, you saved all your configs in your lab, and it blows up in the midst of doing another task. When it comes back up, do I still have my time?
Okay. So if it's a hardware failure, if something goes wrong with the hardware and you are not able to go back to your system and you lost, let's say, 20 minutes of your time, you will be awarded time back. Okay, it's not like that it's fixed 5-5 and you will not get any more time because there was an issue at Cisco side. So if there is an issue, there is a problem, a router restarted or something just something did not work as it was expected to work, you will be given extra time while that is fixed. If it cannot be fixed on that day, okay, you will be sent back and you will be given a voucher to come and attempt the exam on another day. Okay, sorry, anything can make that happen. So routers have their own mind. They can crash anytime. Okay, so if a system is not available for you to successfully complete your exam, then proctors will help you figure out the problem and fix the problem for you. If they cannot fix the problem on the day or in a reasonable amount of time, I think the reasonable amount of time is 2 hours, then you are sent back and you are given a voucher to come and attempt your exam again on another day. All right. Once I'm happy with my exam, I'm going to finish my exam and I'm going to say, yes, that's it. Done. Happy. Go catch your flight. Go back to your home. Okay. You will receive your results in next 24 to 48 hours. Another note on proctors at this point is that the guy you see on your day of your exam is not the person who grades you. So if you are giving an exam in Richardson, somebody in Sydney who you are probably never going to see in your life is going to grade you. Okay? So he has no emotional connection with you. Or if you had a bad time with a proctor in the room, that does not matter. Okay? Yes. Yes, you are not supposed to have a heart attack. Make sure you're alive for 48 hours and you will get your results. Okay? Sorry. Yeah, yes, on each item. On each item you get a feedback. All right? Any other questions? Yes.
Say if the task is has you perform some configuration change, the result is what was required, but it wasn't to a best practice or
It doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So the questions are usually designed to accommodate all the possible solutions. Okay? Having said that, I can give you a tip. Usually when I'm creating an exam, I do not want to take care of 10 different kind of solutions. Okay? So I want to put restrictions in the question to make sure that you are directed toward that one solution or that two solutions that I want you to do. Okay? So read the questions properly and you will find out what answer you need to provide. Okay? Sorry, I didn't get you. Yes. Yes. So you need to pass both of your modules. Okay. And the aggregate of those modules has to be greater than the lab pass score. Yeah. It's not 80%, first of all. So pass score and the aggregate score is two different things. Okay. So you can get 100% in module 2, and in module 1, if you at least do the pass, then you can still pass the whole lab exam. But if you did not score the pass in this one and you had 100 in this one, you will still fail the lab exam. Sorry? Passing score? I have no idea about that. I cannot share that information. And it varies. It varies from form to form. It's not the same. So one form might have it at 75, another one at 80, another one at 69. It all depends. All right? Good. Thank you very much. Yes.
I think you mentioned the possibility of hardware failure.
Yes.
You recovered in a reasonable time.
Yep.
It's simple. You come back with a voucher. You start again that design, complete retest, or supposedly. I guess maybe it's not graded until after. So you have completed design. You're into